Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? Please have your tickets in hand before you board the plane. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. I'm Johan Castell and you're watching Wings. On the show today we cover the latest travel trend expectations for 2025 for Indian travelers. Also featured is the Grand Procession of Akharas that marked their entry into Kumbh City in Prayagraj. The Day of the Dead celebrations in the Latin world and the latest exciting events in Egypt. Let's begin. Recently, SkyScanner came out with their travel trends for 2025. The report shows a remarkable 66% of Indians planning to travel more the next year. Take a look at this next report to find out what's on the horizon for adventure seekers across the nation.
Traveling in 2025 may be the best year for all the travel enthusiasts. 2025 will be all about collective travel experiences, from stargazing beneath the night sky to exploring leisurely experiences. Everything will revolve around experiences these adventures are awaiting. So what are the trendsetters? We'll break them down for you. First, sports mode. 53% of Indian travelers are eager to swap their couches for stadium seats. Nearly two-thirds, or 63%, plan to travel specifically for entertainment purposes, looking to witness some of the most thrilling competitions like cricket or football. Data shows a whopping 188% surge in flight bookings surrounding major sporting events, such as Abu Dhabi Formula One race. The next on the list is arts, venture. A stunning 79% of Indian travelers are ready to engage in immersive art experiences, reflecting a shift from mere observation to active participation. Interestingly, 51% are keen to share their creative experiences on social media, blending art with connection. Let's look towards the sky. A lure of the cosmos is capturing Indian hearts, with 53% of Indian travelers wanting to sleep under the stars. From night photography to witnessing the northern lights, a growing number is eager for celestial adventures. The horticulture is trending, with a staggering 90% of Indians expressing their love for visiting gardens. Next up, holistic living is gaining traction too, with 70% of travelers aiming to be more mindful of their health and wellness. Over half prioritize maintaining their well-being while traveling. Gen Z travelers are also bringing their passions on the road, with 62% identifying gaming as their top leisure activity. An impressive 57% feel inspired to book trips based on video game locations, showcasing how gaming culture influences travel choices. Finally, cowboy core is inspiring a new wave of countryside escapes, with 53% excited about immersive outdoor experiences like campfire dining and tranquil farmhouse stays. Indian travelers are embracing the charm of the great outdoors in 2025. Indian travelers are expected to travel more in the year 2025.
The foundation of the 2025 Travel Trends report is based on 66% of the people wanting to travel more and 86% of the people wanting to spend the same or more on flight bookings, which shows how strong the appetite for Indian travelers is going into 2025. So we will see that the travel next year will be much more than we have seen previously, and that's been underpinned by the different trends that we talked about, with people wanting to have a more collective experience, shared experience when they are looking for travel destinations.
As we look ahead to 2025, Indian travelers are poised to embark on a journey filled with collective experiences, wellness, and a deep connection to nature and culture.
The sacred city of Prayagraj prepares for the much-anticipated Kumbh Mela, which will take place in early 2025. Recently, the revered Akharas entered Kumbh City with a grand procession. Take a look.
As the grand Kumbh Mela 2025 countdown continues, the spiritual preparations are already well underway in Prayagraj, and the first significant event in this sacred journey has unfolded. The Kumbh Mela is closely associated with the Akharas and Naga Sadhus, which hold significant cultural and spiritual meaning. The word Akhara is derived from Akhand, which translates to indivisible. Originally, Akharas were established to bring together individuals who shared similar religious practices, beliefs, and ideologies. They now serve as a symbol of unity amidst the diversity of Hindu traditions. The Akharas have always been a central part of the Kumbh Mela, a sacred event held every 12 years. This week, the Akharas procession began with a grandeur that captured the spirit of devotion and festivity. The Juna Akhara marked its magnificent entry into the Kumbh City, flanked by hundreds of saints. The procession started with the Hanuman temple in Ramapur village. It made its way to the Mojgiri ashram in the heart of Kumbh City. The streets were alive with enthusiasm as flower petals rained down. At the same time, devotees and Kumbh Mela officials lined the route to honor the procession. The Nagar Pravesh Yatra highlighted a significant shift in the traditionally male-dominated religious spaces, as the procession saw a considerable presence of women saints.
It's an age-old tradition. When we enter the Kumbh premises together, with the rhythmic beats of drums and the chanting of Har Har Mahadev, people get to know it's the beginning of Kumbh. It also signals the official start of the Kumbh celebrations.
For the Akharas, entering Kumbh City is more than just a ceremonial act. It is the beginning of their spiritual preparations. After their grand entry, the saints will remain in the city, preparing for the vast religious and cultural confluence that will unfold during the Kumbh Mela.
हम लोग बड़े प्रसन्न हैं कि नगर प्रवेश हो रहा है और इससे ही कुंभ का आगाज़ होता है और हम प्रसन्नित हैं कि हम जूना अखाड़े के साथ हरिगिरी महाराज जी के आशीर्वाद से हम लोग नगर प्रवेश कर रहे हैं साथ में और इसी से हम सारा कार्य जो कुंभ का है उसका हम आगे काम करेंगे.
The grand procession of the Akharas is a precursor to the months of preparations that will culminate in the Mahakumbh, which attracts millions of devotees from around the world. As the Akharas settle into Prayagraj, their entry into the Kumbh area marks the start of an extraordinary journey that will soon bring together spirituality, devotion, and a shared vision of peace and unity from across the globe.
Let's move on to Mexico now, where the Day of the Dead was recently celebrated. The colorful day saw residents come together to honor the deceased.
For Mexicans, honoring the dead is a special occasion dedicated to the occasion. This is called the Day of the Dead and officially occurs from the eve of October 31st to November 2nd. The unusual thing about this celebration is that the living remember and honor their dearly departed, not with sorrow, but with celebration. Day of the Dead dates back centuries to ancient indigenous civilizations who would organize parties when someone passed away to guide them to the afterlife. They would lay out food in altars to nourish them on the journey, according to the Mexican government. The preparations begin several days before the day of celebrations, with workers cutting out and assembling paper masks and decorations. Thousands flock to Mexico City's Reforma Avenue for the annual Day of the Dead parade, a tradition that started in 2016, inspired by the 2015 James Bond film Spectre, which featured a similar parade in its opening scene. Traditionally, families observe the festival at home or in cemeteries where they believe the souls of their deceased loved ones return to be with them.
I feel it's a very lively festival, very joyful. I think it does represent the essence of Mexican culture and I really like it. Siento que.
Not just in Mexico, people adorn the graves of their loved ones during the Day of the Dead in Guatemala too. The General Cemetery in Rio Blanco, Zacapulas was crowded as scores of people gathered to commemorate the memories of their relatives.
The tradition is that the relatives of the deceased come to put flowers, candles, pine trees on the graves, as a reminder that they are still in the hearts of their loved ones.
In Tonacatepec, El Salvador, locals celebrated the traditional La Calabaza parade on the eve of the Day of the Dead. During this vibrant event, residents, descendants of the area's indigenous community, honored characters from Cuscatlan mythology representing pre-Columbian El Salvador, as well as paid tribute to their deceased relatives. Haitians gathered at the National Cemetery in Port-au-Prince to celebrate Fête Gede, the Day of the Dead. This annual tradition sees voodoo practitioners honoring the spirits of the dead, often through vibrant parades and rituals, where some believe they become possessed by these spirits. Despite the cemetery being under the control of armed gangs since unrest began in March, people continue to uphold this deep-rooted custom. As night settles in, cemeteries across Central America and Mexico could be seen lit up by twinkling candlelights as relatives of the deceased spend the night in the graveyard. For people visiting from outside, seeing and participating in the parades is the most fun part of this unique event and is on countless travelers' bucket lists.
Let's now go to Egypt, where unique events recently took place at the pyramids of Giza. Take a look at the story. The Jump Like a Pharaoh International Skydiving Festival returned for its 7th year on Tuesday last week, drawing nearly 200 skydivers from 34 countries who performed over 1,000 jumps above Egypt's iconic Giza pyramids. According to the festival's founder, participation almost doubles yearly as more skydivers are drawn to this unique chance.
Of course, the pyramids are a great factor in tourism to attract tourism. Jumping over the pyramids has its own completely different pleasure. People see the pyramids from the sky. This is something else. Flying and experiencing the adrenaline rush from the jump is something else. Every year, thank God, we double in numbers because people desire to do something like this. It's very great.
Taking place above one of the world's most iconic and historic tourist sites, skydivers from around the globe flew in to participate in this unique event. Jumping from C-130 aircraft provided by the Egyptian Armed Forces, 100 adventurous participants opened the festival with an initial stunt that saw skydivers land at the foot of the Pyramid of Khafre. Future events will include similar stunts that hope to boost tourism to the country and promote aerial sports in Egypt. Forever is Now is an annual contemporary art exhibition that brings together artists from around the world to explore the marvels of an ancient civilization through their own creative perspectives. Set against the iconic pyramids of Giza and the expansive desert plateau, this event blurs the lines between past and present, merging tradition with innovation to create a dynamic, immersive experience.
Welcome to the 4th edition of Forever is Now at the Pyramids of Giza and the 8th edition for Art d'Egypte. This year's exhibition is quite particular. It's paying tribute to the amazing archaeologists that never cease to impress us every year. Through them, we discover the wonders of what we have, and the whole world as well is included with us. all tapping into the wonders of archaeology and the wonders of this ancient Egyptian civilization and how it comes together and how it still amazes us every day, even in our contemporary life.
In its fourth edition, Forever is Now transforms art appreciation into an interactive discovery. Visitors walk around the open-air gallery to explore the artwork from different angles. The exhibition aims to foster a culture of interconnection and mutual respect through artistic dialogue. This cross-cultural event encourages deep engagement, drawing not only visitors but also local craftspeople, students and laborers, making contemporary art accessible and meaningful for all. By inviting participation from various communities, Forever is Now opens new pathways for people to experience and connect with art in impactful and inclusive ways. Over to the Nile Delta city of Tanta, where Egyptian optical designer Mukhtar Mohammed Abdel Fattah spends his days among telescopes and lenses. He runs a Voyager optics technology, the only factory in Egypt and the Middle East dedicated to producing astronomical telescopes, proudly labeled Made in Egypt. Abd El Fattah founded the factory in 1995 after years abroad, training in optics across Germany, Italy and Sweden. Inspired by a gap in Egypt's market, he returned to establish the factory. Over time, his factory grew, evolving from producing telescope bodies to crafting fully assembled telescopes from scratch. His team became skilled technicians as demand grew, crafting lenses and telescope parts entirely within Egypt. Abdel Fattah also runs 2 educational centers where students learn this science and craft through hands-on experience. He has also established a gallery near his factory, displaying hundreds of vintage cameras, microscopes and telescopes he's collected over the years. Let's now move to Sweden, where an innovative company has started a ferry service using a fully electric flying hydrofoil vessel that hovers just over the surface of Stockholm's archipelago. Just above the water's surface, a fully electric ferry glides across Stockholm's waters as Swedish company Kandela readies it for regular passenger service. The ferry, outfitted with 3 vertical hydrofoils, lifts above the water at high speeds, almost like a magic carpet. Equipped with sensors that continuously adjust the foils, the ferry remains stable, using around 80% less energy than a conventional boat. By reducing drag, the ferry can achieve speeds up to 55 km per hour, significantly faster than traditional ferries. Starting in October, Kandela will operate a 35-minute passenger route between Ekerö Island and central Stockholm, cutting the commute by half compared to land routes, with a single vessel carrying up to 30 passengers.
So Kandela P12 is built for 30 passengers, and that may seem a bit small, but what we see is that many operators around the world, they have 2 big ferries and very low seat utilization. The big ferries also mean they have very few departures every day. So with the smaller format, only having 1 staff on board on this one, you're going to have much more routes per day, and that's going to improve the service.
Despite waves and wakes from other boats, passengers enjoy a smooth ride due to the ferry's innovative design. Kandela has prior experience with smaller recreational hydrofoil boats, but scaling the technology for public transport requires meeting rigorous safety and seaworthiness standards. Kandela hopes to expand this technology globally. Although most major cities worldwide are built around water, many lack developed water-based public transport. There certainly seems to be a significant potential for reducing emissions in the maritime sector. Perhaps this can be one of the solutions you can try on your next visit to Sweden. Just as San Francisco is known for its red cable cars and London for its black cabs, Lisbon's yellow Electrico trams have become a beloved emblem of the city. These vintage, clattering trams carry passengers up and down Lisbon's hilly streets, drawing visitors from around the world as a must-see tourist attraction.
Lisbon's iconic yellow trams, once a staple of local life, have become so popular with tourists that many residents feel that they can no longer hop on for a ride. The trams have been winding through Lisbon's steep, narrow streets since the late 19th century, offering riders unique views of the Tagus River and pastel-colored buildings.
Lisbon's trams are like San Francisco's cable cars. When you think of cable cars, you think of San Francisco. And when you think of Electricos, you immediately think of Lisbon. There is no other city in Europe where so many trams operate as they do here.
Today, tourists enjoy the tram's vintage wooden floors and timeless charm, traveling back in time with each ride. However, as tourism in Lisbon surged to nearly 9 million visitors in 2023, some locals have grown frustrated with the overwhelming crowds.
I'm from Canada, and I heard that Tram 28 was one of the must-do things in Lisboa, and I realized that it's a very old train. It's been around for quite some time, and I guess a lot of other people have heard about it as well. I've been queuing for 45 minutes, and there's still at least one or two more trams ahead of me. So they weren't kidding when they said it was probably close to a 2-hour wait.
In Martin Moniz Square, riders on Line 28, a favorite route that loops through Lisbon's most picturesque spots, sometimes wait over an hour to board. Red trams designated for tourists are also available but less popular due to their higher cost. Additional tram routes discontinued during the rise of Lisbon's bus network in the 20th century have even been reinstated to help manage the crowds. Some critics think that the city's famed trams have become a toy for tourists, filling Instagram feeds at the expense of residents who genuinely depend on them. Local groups have been calling for a more efficient public transport solution to serve both the residents and visitors alike. Balancing the needs of locals and tourists seems challenging, where the tram's appeal is a cultural treasure. Currently, 5 historic tram lines traverse the city, while a 6th route with longer, modern carriages run along the river, highlighting Lisbon's efforts to accommodate both its residents and its growing number of admirers.
That's all we have for you on the show in this week's episode, but we'll return with another one next weekend. Until then, it's me, Johan Castell, signing off. Goodbye.